morning, y'all. This is Debbie Arnold with Dining with Debbie. Thank you very much for being here. I really do appreciate it. Like many of you, I am starting to get into my fall and holiday baking season. And in preparation for that, today I'm making my apple pie spice blend, much like the pumpkin spice blend that we made earlier. And it is so much cheaper to make your apple pie spice blend homemade than it is to purchase those little jars that are similar to this size in the grocery store. And I think once you get used to making up your own, you're going to find that you just do it all the time because it's preferable. The blend is better, and it's not been sitting on some grocery store shelf for a long time. One of the things I do is I make mine up in small batches, and when I'm using it actively, and that whatever is left over, I just stick in my freezer, and it will keep for several months, 6 months or so, and I can use it as I want to. This one is a real easy one. It's probably made with most of what you have on hand. One of the things you might not have on hand is a spice called mace. Now, mace is a yellowish brown spice. It comes from the coating of the nutmeg seed. And a nutmeg seed is about the size of, oh gosh, I'm trying to think, of a hazelnut. If you've ever seen a hazelnut in the shell, it's about that size. And I don't know, I didn't realize that I was out, or I would have one to show you. But anyway, mace can't always be found easily. And if you cannot find it, then just double up on the nutmeg in whatever recipe you're using. But I encourage you to look for the mace. And here again, this is one I keep in my freezer because I don't use it all that often. Mace comes from the nutmeg tree, just like nutmeg does, obviously. And it comes typically in two forms: ground, like this is, which is much more readily available, and then in what's called blades. If you can find the blades, your flavor is going to be much more pronounced than it is in the ground. The blades are then ground up into the powder, just like you might do a nutmeg and grind it up to have that fresher flavor. The flavor of mace keeps longer than nutmeg, which is another bonus for it. It's kind of got a sweet, woody, pungent smell to it, softer, it seems like, and maybe not as sweet as nutmeg might be. It kind of reminds me of a blend of cinnamon and pepper all smushed in there together. Anyway, it's used in a lot of things. Curry powders, for example, garam masala. Lots of the times that taste that you're looking for in cake donuts that you buy, that's mace that's in the background of that. Lots of cakes, custards, souffles, soups even. I use this in a soup that I make for the fall. Sprinkled on poultry, fish, all kinds of things. Anyway, it won't go to waste. So when you find it, buy a small jar of it. Don't buy a big bulk of it because you won't use it that often, I don't think, unless you're into making a lot of Indian, and Caribbean spice dishes. Anyway, so mace. This is one that we're going to use here today. If you don't have it, just double up on the nutmeg in the recipe. All right, so we're going to start with 3 tablespoons of cinnamon. Now, 3 tablespoons, a tablespoon equals 3 teaspoons. So it would have been simpler had I got a tablespoon out, but I didn't. So we're going to put 9. Spoon. All right, 9 teaspoons equals 3 tablespoons. Next, we have 2 teaspoons of nutmeg. I buy nutmeg in the bulk, but I don't encourage you to do that unless you do a lot of baking. And I keep what I'm not using actively in the freezer again. So there's 2 teaspoons of nutmeg. You want your nutmeg to be really good and pungent. Next we have 1 teaspoon of allspice. Allspice is not a blend of all spices, y'all. In fact, allspice is a berry. This is allspice that's not been ground up, if you can see that. And one of the things I like to do is I like to toast the berries slightly in a skillet and then grind them, and it gives a whole different dimension to your allspice. So our allspice, we're going to use 1 teaspoon. Y'all know I typically use my hand to do this. That's fine. Oops. Okay, that's about a teaspoon of allspice. And then we're going to use a 1/2 teaspoon of ginger. Sorry, y'all, I just got to go back to my hand. But it doesn't have to be precise necessarily. And then 1 teaspoon of cardamom. I love cardamom, but here again, this is one that I purchased in small quantities because I want that flavor to really be pronounced in whatever I'm using it in. And I love it. I just love the smell of it. I like to use it in my holiday stovetop blends for my Spell Good stuff. So that's a teaspoon of cardamom. And I know a friend of mine who made Gary's favorite pumpkin bread the other day said she put some cardamom in hers. I thought that was a great idea. And then we're going to finish up with a 1/2 teaspoon of the mace. And I've kept a little top on there. So go back up. Like I said, immediately after using it, I put it back into my freezer. All right. It's not quite, there we go. All right, this is what it looks like. You can see it's kind of a reddish brown color now. The blades, when they come off of the nutmeg, are kind of reddish brown, and the more that it's processed, the yellower it gets. All right, that's a little bit strong. There we go. So now we have our apple pie spice blend. But you don't have to just reserve this for apple pie. I call it apple pie spice blend, but I use it in lots of different things. I use it in my apple pie breads. I use it in apple cake lots of times. I substitute it for the spices that are typically called for in apple pie or whatever recipe I might be using. You're going to have to come back for those apple spice donuts that I'm going to make. All right, so we're all blended up. Now I'm going to pour it up into my little jar that I keep in the pantry, in my baking pantry. And whatever won't fit in here, I will put in a baggie and just put into the freezer. The freezer's a good friend. If you don't have a freezer, at least keep it in the refrigerator, because the flavor will stay so much more pronounced if you'll do that. It won't go away. If you leave it out, you know, it's going to fade, not be so good. Anyway, I hope your fall baking is going well and that you are planning some really fun new dishes. You're getting the kids in the kitchen and getting them involved. I'm just a big proponent of that, you know. So anyway, I hope you've had a chance to catch my little episodes or segments on THV on the Vine. If you haven't, you can always go online and find those. Just do a search for them. Thank you for your comments. I really appreciate it. Thank you for sharing my post. That's always such a nice feeling to have that done. I really appreciate you being here, and I hope you have a really blessed day. Go make up some apple pies or apple bread or something really good and spicy with apple spice for this season of the year. I thank you for being here again, and I'll see you soon.